let's start the show, Lana. We're going to start before we get into President Musk and his assistant, Donald Trump. Did you watch the Super Bowl?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that Super Bowl was definitely not expected. I came on here last week guaranteeing that Kansas City would win and to put all your money on Kansas City.
Oh,
So I
did
hope
you?
you did not listen to me because that's
Oh,
what I did. I put my money on Kansas City and that did not turn out well.
no.
It was
Not even a
There's
little.
absolutely nothing in that game that gave me hope at all. I mean, it's 24-0 at halftime. It was a terrible game, but of course, you cannot have a Super Bowl without angry white people being very upset about something.
Yeah.
Couple things happened during that game. One, the president, the president's assistant, Donald Trump, was in attendance. He was the first president to ever attend a Super Bowl before, and this is coming from an administration and a President Musk who is looking to cut costs and unnecessary spending. And it turns out that Donald Trump's little trip and taking 7 other GOP members with him to the Superdome in Louisiana for the Super Bowl cost the taxpayers anywhere between 15 and 20 million dollars. So would you consider that wasteful spending, Lana? Is that something that you want your tax dollars to go towards?
No.
Hmm.
Like $15 million. Imagine that. It's a
Do
lot
you
of money.
think that the people who back President Musk and Donald Trump give a shit about the 15 to 20 million
They don't
dollars?
care. He
No.
works hard, they'll say, he deserves, he's the president, he can do whatever he wants to do.
Oh, is that true? Well, in 20 days, yesterday would have marked 20 days. Out of the 20 days, he played golf 9 days and he went to the Super Bowl on another day. So it's 50% so
Yep.
far of his very, very brief presidency that he's either played golf or he's gone to a football game. And he didn't even stay for the whole thing, which is even more offensive.
Donnie
Uh,
got tired. Got tired.
so we paid 15 to 20 million dollars for him to get a free ticket to the Super Bowl, and he didn't even stay for the whole thing.
Correct.
So, but on top of that, there's more controversy. Usually, I'll tell you, Lana, I'm able, and I said this to somebody the other day that I am proud that I have developed a brain to where I don't get angry at a halftime Super Bowl performance.
Mhm.
But I woke up the next day and I knew it was going to happen at this point because it started. Am I kind of in and out? Can you hear me okay?
I hear you fine.
Okay. But this started years ago when Trump took over, and now if there's anybody that performs for the Super Bowl that's not to the liking and they're not wearing belt buckles and cowboy hats, uh, then there's a side of the country that loses their fucking shit and goes nuts. Lana, first of all, did you watch the halftime performance?
Mhm.
Okay. So I will tell you, me personally, I enjoyed it, but I'm not. Music's gotten away from me. I will admit I'm the old guy now. I'm not music. From 1993 on.
Oh yeah, you're going out now.
What is going on? Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Somebody's infiltrated. I think it's President Musk and SpaceX and or whatever the fucking satellite he has interfering with our show. But music's gotten away from me. There's music since 1993, I think, that I like, obviously, but overall, it's not for me. But I still grew up hip hop. I grew up rap, so I like the beats. I like everything, and I know there's a whole bunch of things that went into that halftime performance. Some of the things I didn't understand. I really don't follow the Drake thing. I don't follow any of that stuff. But to me, it's the performance overall seemed fantastic. I mean, you see all the choreography, all the stuff that they did was pretty cool. Lana, what did you think about it? Were you angry about the Super Bowl halftime show?
Well, it wasn't about Drake at all. that's you know what I mean. So I feel like it went
I think only the reason why I said that because I guess one of the songs has something to do with Drake, right? The "Not About Us" didn't that have something to do with Drake? It was like an answer to. I think I don't know. You tell me. That's why I'm asking.
What? You're not like us.
Or not like us, yeah.
Right. That was a diss track to Drake for sure. But okay, so let's back up because
Yeah.
it wasn't about Drake. It was about um very pointed symbolism, right? And
Mhm.
it went above so many people's head, mainly white people, because you're just not going to get it.
Right.
A woman was like, oh, rap music isn't even music. It was like, why is all black people performing? It's because Kendrick Lamar took 13 and a half minutes to speak to the black community because
Mhm.
of what is happening to the black community, right? So like he took time and he didn't say the words, he showed it. So
Mhm.
the red, white, and blue had a couple of meanings, right? It was reds, the Crips, the Bloods, the Blues, the Crips, right? And them getting together because at some point you would see the colors, they would combine, they would go together to separate. So they were uniting, right? So you had to pay attention to the song and why they were uniting. And then the bigger picture was they also formed a flag.
Yeah.
That was the American flag. So you have all black people as the American flag symbolizes America built off of the backs of black people, right? So like that's even with the dancing and the bending down, like all of that. And
Right.
then when you have the separation of the flag, the breaking up of the flag, like all that was symbolism. Then you had Samuel L. Jackson as Uncle Sam, right?
Yeah.
And and at one point he's telling him like, well, in the very beginning too, I don't know if you know Gil Scott Heron. He's a
I
poet.
don't.
He's a black poet, famous black poet, famous for one of his poems, "The Revolution Will Not Be Televised." I don't know if
Mhm.
you ever read the
I've
poem,
heard that,
right? Kendrick, when he started, he said the revolution will be televised.
but you picked the wrong guy.
Yeah, the right time, wrong guy,
Right.
right? That's all the symbolism of what's happening in America today and what we need to do. And then you had Samuel L. Jackson. He would come in and he would be like, you're playing the game wrong with all this ghetto music, right?
Mm.
America's a game. You have to play the game that they want you to play so you can make it to where you need to go. So then after he said that, Kendrick slowed down the beat. Then he had a song with SZA, that song with If This World Were Mine, the Luther remake, kind of like a Luther remake, right? So he slowed it down a little bit. So it all had meaning. I mean, and even like, and I didn't even notice this. I
That's what I was
guess
going to ask you. And really, I don't mean to cut you off. I didn't mean. I was going to ask you. Were you understanding all the symbolism at the time, or were there some
not
of it that
all
you
of
learned?
it.
Yeah.
Definitely knew it was a message to black people.
Yeah.
Definitely knew
Yeah.
that. If we have black people dressed as a flag,
Yeah.
that's an automatic, right? And the music, Kendrick did not rap or sing his latest, the hits that everyone knows. He rapped the ones that fit the moment, right? And of course he's gonna have a Drake moment because why wouldn't you call out Drake in front of all these people? Like
Right.
that was just a side additive, but
Yeah.
it was not about
That
Drake.
was probably more just because he didn't want to disappoint the crowd because they expected at least something.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
So it definitely was a teachable moment. And it was so funny because I did a tweet with Trump's face because he was just looking like, and I said,
Mhm.
like, that moment that you realized the diss track wasn't about Drake, but it was about you or something like that.
Was he there for the halftime performance?
The pictures, they kept saying that he was. So I don't know for a fact if he was there, but they kept showing pictures saying that, him
I
doing
can't
that.
imagine that he would sit through that entire performance. There is no way,
Yeah,
even if he was there. There's no way.
like the
Because even
black
if he's
people,
not smart enough to understand it was about him,
it's too
he would
black.
have the feeling that it was about him regardless. Because first of all, he thinks everything's about him, number one.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So yeah, so he would have the feeling regardless. So Yeah, I mean, like I said,
Kendrick.
yeah, here's what happened. So I told you I go to my friends and we watch Super Bowl in the same place for years. And in the place I went, there's like all kinds of people there. So I didn't really get to sit and watch it. So the next day I just sat and watched the whole performance and watched everything. And I read about it first, about the symbolism and everything. Then I went and watched it because it made more sense to me. Like I said, you know, it was a good, very good performance, and it was just, you know, it was very interesting. And you know, it's also to come up with everything that he came up with in there really has genius
It is
written all
genius.
over it. I mean,
It
it is
really
genius.
is.
Whether you agree, let's say you don't even care about the and you don't agree with it, you can't say that putting that
It was
all together.
artistic from Samuel Jackson, and everything that Samuel Jackson was actually saying. All of that was part of like that artistic what you were watching. Like, no, you're right. It was like a little mini play.
Some of the symbolism too, they were saying Samuel L. Jackson, because in a couple of his movies, he's played kind of like the black slave, but he was more for the white man kind of thing. And
Yeah,
he was, you know, kind of symbolizing,
yeah.
you know, that,
Jiving. Come on, boy. You with
yeah,
that
yeah,
ghetto music, you know you gotta be soft and
yeah,
nice.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And
So
first of all, anything with Samuel L. Jackson, and it's going to be good. I mean, yeah. And you know, he wanted to drop the F bomb so bad because I think he just naturally wants to say
yeah,
it. It would have
yeah.
been awesome if he did. But yeah, I was curious to hear what your thoughts were on it
It's
because
hot
I saw
too.
way too many people's other thoughts on it
And they're like,
online, and
why
it was
Kendrick?
annoying.
Why was it Kendrick? It's like, because Kendrick has won every fucking award that is known to man this year.
22 Grammys, and
Yeah,
he's won a
like what
Pulitzer Prize.
it had that. We're going with the culture, and he is hot right now.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
I think some people were like, why is it not Lil Wayne? Because he's from there. But at the end of the day, it looks like they made the right choice. And plus Lil Wayne's
yeah,
he's like a MAGA, you know,
yeah,
asshole.
yeah, and like, what
Fucking,
would he hasn't? Little Wayne's not even really out here doing anything. So why
yeah.
would they pay him all that money? That's a big spot right there.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, kudos to Kendrick Lamar. Kudos to everybody that was on the stage with him.
Most watched,
You know,
and that's the most watched Super Bowl ever, right? Like how many people they say watch it, like ever in history of
is
Super
that what
Bowl?
they said? I haven't seen the ratings for it yet. I would imagine it
It
was
was
going to
like
be huge,
the
but
the highest.
yeah. The funny thing is I heard somebody like, oh, the ratings went down by millions after that performance. And somebody responded, it's like, don't you realize that they waited until after the performance to leave the game? Because it was a blowout. That's the reason
Exactly.
why people stopped watching, because it was
Yeah.
an absolute blowout.
People wanted to watch that performance too. They
Right. They
waited.
watched the performance, then the ratings went down. It would have made
Exactly.
more sense if the ratings went down during the performance. You
Exactly.
dummy.